are the ones that make the study buddy for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
I'm gonna meet them when they come back.
Joe did come with his family and stuff. Yeah, shout out to Cured. But Joe did stop by. He's the CEO and founder. And his partner Taylor is pretty cool. But yeah, their whole philosophy behind their company is he believes so much. Joe used to be an alcoholic, really bad alcoholic. And I don't know if it was through sobriety or what. I got to get clear on the story, but he believes so much in like the value of like certain psychedelics in controlled environments, like, you know, for things like PTSD, depression, anxiety, like stuff that he struggled with through. Well, he used to use alcohol as like a treatment for depression. But now like he'll microdose with psilocybin or whatever. I don't want to like, you know, put him out there or say he's doing something that he's not, but I know that he believes in that because he has a microdose psilocybin product. But like I'm a huge, that's why to this day, even though I went to prison for psychedelics and I spent 5.5 years of my life, you know, in prison, for that, I'm still a big proponent of psychedelics in the same sense that Joe and Taylor, who run this company, are. Like, I think there's like, if you have something like you have PTSD and you have this one clinician that wants to put you on a pharmaceutical, and then you have somebody that's like, oh, why don't you try this? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, it's taboo to like 90% of people because you say like tripping, you know, or like acid.
Or you never go back to normal if you do acid. Like,
oh my God, that's what people used to say that.
Did you ever watch that documentary on Netflix? I don't know what it was called, but it was basically like a bunch of celebrities talking about like their use with psychedelics, and they were all saying how when they were kids, they used to watch commercials that would show them somebody doing drugs like that. Yeah. And then jumping out of a building and saying like, you're going to die.
No, they used to no, you can Google them. They're still, because Tim did one day. You can Google these old Dare videos. There's like somebody that smokes, that takes a hit of a joint and jumps out a window. Like, are you kidding me?
Listen, we've evolved.
There was a propaganda campaign against drugs, but specifically like cannabis. Like the cannabis ones are hilarious because they literally say that like you're a totally different person on it, and I don't know anybody that's ever happened to.
I think you're such a better person on it. Like you're just funnier.
Your jokes are funnier, that's for sure. But these, I'm gonna give a shout out to these guys. These Rise caps that I take, there's actually no psychedelics in them. It's just, let's see, which mushroom is this? I believe, it's lion's mane, which there's tons of research that says it's really good for your brain. But there's lion's mane and CBD in these. And I take them like just about every day, halfway through the day. And I was just explaining, actually, before we got on here, that what it does is like I feel like they just completely recharge my social battery, like at the time during the day when I normally like crash, and my gut instinct is to like fucking down more caffeine. Like that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. Okay, when you crash in the middle of the day, caffeine is not the answer. Usually food and water is the answer, and maybe some rest. But when you don't have that, these Rise caps really help.
Listen, I don't drink caffeine, and I think I've taken those a little bit more than a handful of times. I think maybe like 6 or 7 times.
They're great.
When I need that extra push during the day, when I'm like, okay, I'm dying.
Yeah, you said that it felt like Adderall.
It did. It felt like an Adderall without the crash and feeling like a psycho.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I've never taken Adderall, but Grace has, and she says she describes those as her natural Adderalls. Like that's what she calls them. So like I believe her.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys. I gotta light my joint.
I'm so excited.
So, Lau and I, normally I don't, I'm undecided on whether or not I want to smoke before a podcast or not. Today we are. But Lau and I are both proponents of cannabis. I think you're more of a proponent than I am, though. Like, I'm like, as I'm getting older, it's so funny. Because I literally have the Zigzag Man tattooed on my stomach. Like, I was like a big stoner. But as I'm getting older, I'm getting a little bit more like conservative in the way that I like promote it. Like I'm like, hey, I used to be like, everybody needs to smoke weed. It's fucking good for you.
I am a wait person.
But now I'm like, oh, it depends on the person. Because I've literally seen cannabis completely derail people. Like they just get demotivated. And if that's you, you shouldn't do cannabis. But fortunately, that's not me.
Us. That's not us. I need this. Like, I don't even like saying I need it. I like to use cannabis like at the end of a long day just to like recharge a little bit.
Yeah, or in the middle before a podcast.
Well, right now, listen, it's my day off. All bets are off.
I was nervous.
I'm so nervous. Okay? I'm sweating under the sweater.
Oh my god!
You guys are probably gonna laugh so hard in this episode. I'm just forewarning.
So Lau is my favorite person to smoke or use cannabis at all with because we laugh and joke a lot. But yeah, I'm getting a little more conservative, especially as the laws across the country have like started to really favor cannabis, which I thought that I always wanted. Like I always thought it was ridiculous. Like if you go to jail for cannabis, like I still think that's ridiculous.
I still think that's ridiculous.
But there's a caveat because in the places that have the most lax drug laws, you could just look at them. Like just look at them. Look at the outcome of loosening the reins. Like places like Portland or Seattle or San Francisco, where like almost all drugs are decriminalized. They're fucking zombie wastelands. Like it's crazy. And so there's this age-old debate within philosophy that Jack, who's off camera, we mentioned Jack in every episode. People are going to be like, who's Jack? Who's Jack? But Jack and I, he's sharp and he's really into philosophy. But anyway, there's this age-old debate that's, and this is surrounding government, but can people be trusted to make decisions that are in their own best interest, or do they need a governing body or person to make decisions for them because they cannot be trusted to make decisions that are in their own best interest? It's a really interesting debate.
Yeah.
And this is one of those topics where, unfortunately, with drugs and cannabis, I don't think people can be trusted to make. I don't think they can. Like,
listen,
and we're starting to see it.
Yeah.
Like we're starting to see it. So,
well, there's days where we smoke and I'm like, I should really be supervised. Like I shouldn't be out and about just doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Or always you go to take the third hit and you know you shouldn't.
I know I shouldn't, but I always do. And I always look at someone and say, oh, it's going to be a mistake. And I do it anyway.
You do. You do. So you cannot be trusted to act in a way that's in your own best
interest. Wait. I only had one. Calm down.
I'm supervising you right now.
I'm going to stop at 2.
Okay. Stop at 2. Yeah. But anyway, so Lau, I haven't, we've had some great conversations, but I don't really dig very much. And so I'm excited to do this episode because where I want to start is tell me how you ended up in St. Louis. Like you're from Colombia originally, and you live in Miami. Well, you lived in Miami before you lived here. And like, I don't recall ever having even interacted with you before you asking about a position at Omen. And so, I really love to hear like how you actually ended up here. And what I was thinking is the long version, not the short one, right? Like, just tell me the whole thing. Like, I know you got out of a breakup, a long-term relationship. You're very close with your family though, which, is crazy. Like I know enough about you. But yeah, I want to hear the long version. Man.
So I prepped for the small version. So you're putting me on my feet.
No, because dude, you're the heart of this thing right now. Like I don't know how I would describe me, but I'm cold. I
hate when he says that.
Yeah, because I'm not really cold, but people think I am. And I like that reputation. That's cool. You guys can think that. But truly though, you're the heart of it. You're the center. I think that you are just like this ball of energy that people can't get enough of. And so I'm sure that they want to hear the long version. They don't want to hear the short version.
I got you. It's so hard to think about where it all began, but I was actually I went on a walk before I came out here because when I'm anxious or like feeling overwhelmed, I'm like, just put on your jacket and go for a walk. And it was a freaking freezing walk.
What, right now?
It's 30 degrees.
I know.
I'm from Miami. I'm not used to this.
It's cold out. I know.
It is cold. And I did not take my long jacket that I should have taken because I thought I'm going to be dramatic if I take it.
Yeah.
No, I should have taken it and been super dramatic.
Totally should have.
But I didn't. I didn't.
Grace did.
Oh my God, I'm going to follow her lead because I
Yeah.
need it. But really, I think going back to your question really quick, or the thing before your question where you said like that you don't think we had any interactions. I don't remember interacting much with you. I remember replying to your story once.
Yeah.
And I remember you replied something, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But I remember thinking, wow, he replies. Like he actually goes back to his messages because I thought of you as like,
it's the death of me.
yeah. But I honestly thought I'm just going to like, this is so cool. I think it was me saying something about your podcast being so cool. Like that I was really appreciative of your podcast because you guys were talking about a lot of things that I needed to hear. And it was just really real and raw every single time. And so for me, this is kind of crazy that I'm on a podcast with you right now because that's how I found you essentially. It was through the podcast with Jeff. And honestly, I think all of this really just dates back to like my childhood, like how I ended up out here. I, like you said, I was born in Colombia. I moved to the States when I was like turning almost 6 years old. It was August 1999, I believe, or 5 or 6. Math is hard right now. But my parents like wanted to leave Colombia because they knew that there was not going to be a good life for us there. Yeah. It's a third world country. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm extremely proud to be Colombian. I wear my Latina likeness on my sleeve. It's part of my charm.
Can't dance though.
Can't dance.
I'm just kidding.
Come for me.
I'm just kidding.
I'll show you. I'll show you up. But my parents made that move. My parents were in a really, really rocky relationship. If I get caught in mouth, I'm sorry. I'm going to drink some water.
That's okay. That's why I come prepared.
I brought 2 waters for that reason.
I was telling Jack before we started. Have you ever seen the old Dos Equis commercials?
Yeah.
Where he's like, I don't always drink, but when I drink, I was like, I don't always drink cold brew, but when I do, it's Omen.
This is the stupid stuff we say when we're high.
No, I said that sober. Like it was like 20 minutes ago.
So anyway, my parents were in a really rocky relationship. They met when they were super young. But back then, my parents are not that old. My mom's gonna be 50. I'm gonna be 30.
She's
so
like so young.
She's so young and she's amazing.
She has
she's
a young
literally my best
spirit
friend.
too.
She's what?
She has a young spirit.
She really does. Yeah. She has that now too. Like I'll get to that part of the story, but my mom's come such a long way. I love seeing her like that. And then you guys she was here last week and then you guys all got to experience like this version of her. It's amazing. She's the best person ever. But they were in a rocky relationship. They met when they were 16. Well, they got married when they were 16. Mm-hmm. So my mom was 16. My dad was 20.
Oh, wow.
And then it was just so that my mom wouldn't have to move to the States because my grandmother was moving here.
Yeah.
So my mom married my dad. They were together for 2 years and then they got pregnant with my older sister. And they, they were together for like a year. And then they had my sister when I think it was like the 2-year mark of being married. And she was a really young mom, super young mom.
17, 18.
18.
Yeah.
And then she had me a year and a half later, or like a year, I think we're 15 months apart. So a little over less than a year and a half later. And it was like, shoot, I have 2 kids at 21.
Yeah.
And then surprise comes my little sister, my little Peanut.
Surprise.
Third one. So apparently I've asked my mom how like that happened.
MJ or
MP.
MP.
Yeah.
Why did I say MJ?
I'm
thinking of our girls here.
My mom said that happened because my dad was really sick and they were having, sorry, mom, I'm about to out you, but they were having like makeup sex for something. Oh. And I always, when she told me that, I always cracked up. She's like, yeah, it was like I didn't remember what it was, but my little sister came to me. So my mom finds herself being 23 with 3 kids. I like
3
that's
kids
insane.
Under like 3 too, right? Yeah. That's crazy.
And my mom was a badass. My dad worked a lot, so my mom was the one raising us and taking care of us, obviously with like the help of family there, but she did it. Like my mom has this thing about her where like it doesn't matter where she finds herself, like she just always figures it out. Yeah. And she passed that down to all of us.
Yeah, you're that way.
But it doesn't matter like what she's actually always told me my whole life growing up too. And my dad as well, they both always
You're like a
told me
clone
that.
of your mom, from what I can see.
Really?
100%.
Yeah,
you're like more
great.
than your other sisters.
Yeah.
100%. You're a literal clone. For real.
And it's weird because people say I also look like my dad, but I think I'm just a good mix of both.
But even also what I know of her and what you just said, which is like whatever happens, she'll just figure it out. Like even like personality wise, like you are your mom. It's awesome actually.
Yeah. I can really appreciate that, knowing who she is and like how she is. But, so they end up it's a rocky, like, you know, few years of us growing over there. My mom and my dad there was just a lot that happened. They just were not good for each other.
Yeah.
But my dad wanted to leave and they wanted to leave. And in the Hispanic culture, a woman who's divorced, especially in a country that's very Catholic like Colombia is, you're seen as like lesser value if you get divorced. Like you're like a woman that's been used, you have kids, you're no longer married.
Yeah.
And so like community there is really tight, so it makes like your whole life really difficult if like people are talking about you and saying all those things. And so my mom was like, I'm gonna just go with him to the States, and we'll see. And she actually told me this a few years ago. Like she had never told me that's why. Like I thought, oh, my parents were gonna like work like on being a family, so but they were gonna go somewhere new. Like that's what, like I remember like thinking when I was young. Yeah. And I was like, wow, she made a crazy sacrifice. Like, she just said, okay, hell yeah, brother. Like full
hell yeah,
send.
brother. That's what you say all the time. All the time. Hell yeah, brother.
Shout out to my best friend. That's like from her and I's conversation. She's the shit. But so we make it here, 1999. I was 5. I think they got divorced when I was 7. So it was a really short period. But while we were living in the States, we moved. It was crazy. I truly do not know. Like, I don't even know where they got it from. Like, I don't even know where my parents got like that willpower, like that, like drive to like make it work. I guess it comes from being a parent and you have to provide for someone, but like, it's insane when I think about the story. You mean for the 2 years
that they were here?
Well, for like just everything, like moving out here.
Oh, from Colombia.
Like they took on a whole new life.
Yeah. And the immigration process can't be easy. Yeah.
We were like illegal here. Then we filed for asilo. I'm not sure how you say it in English, but basically like you're allowed to come. Like it's like it
a
makes
visa?
you more kind of.
Or a green card,
I think it's like the government. Like you present a case to the government of why like you need to be here for like your safety.
Got it.
And so like we had that, and then we became like residents, and then we did the whole thing. But growing up, my mom, when she like left my dad or they separated, she had to do it all by herself.
Yeah.
My dad, like court-wise, only had to see us every other weekend. So he didn't have us like during the week or anything.
Yeah.
We were always with my mom.
So your mom was basically raising you, and your dad would just visit. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And it was difficult because like there's so many things that I know now as an adult that I didn't know as a kid that made me have resentment towards my dad.
Yeah, it probably made your relationship pretty strained.
It did.
Yeah. Huh. That's crazy. Was your relationship ever strained with your mom? Like, did you ever like? Because it doesn't seem like.
Oh no.
You guys are like best friends now.
We've worked really hard.
Yeah, we've worked.
Both of us. No.
It's crazy how shit changes when you become an adult, though.
Yes.
Yeah, it
the
really
perspective. Once you're in a different perspective, you see people so differently. And my mom actually came to women's group.
Oh my gosh, I know.
She planned her entire visit around women's group.
I know.
She's like my number one fan.
Didn't everybody cry?
She had everybody crying. There was one point that I genuinely could not even look up. I was looking down, and as I was talking, I was like, nope. I know that if I look up, I'm going to cry because everyone's crying. Yeah. I looked up and I had tears coming down my face. And I was like, why are we doing this, guys? We don't need to be crying. But
hold on. I sidetracked you. So you came back. When you were 7, your parents got divorced. Okay.
And back to the like relationship with my dad. So like he didn't have to see us every 2 weeks, but like as a dad you have the option to like tell the mom like, hey, I'll take them out for dinner one of these nights, if it's okay I'll drop them back off, like, but I don't remember my dad doing any of that. Like it's the effort like to be part of our lives wasn't like showing. It was from
minimal.
Him. Yeah, it wasn't even really showing because it got to a point as well, like as we were growing up, that we would pack our bags and my dad just like would not show up. Or he would tell us like 10 minutes before the time that he would usually pick us up, I can't go, girls. So like just imagine little girls like having to unpack their bags and be like, he's not coming today, or he's not coming like at all, where it's a lot of like,
that's sad.
It's an emotional strain. Like it's, and especially the way we're wired as kids, like little girls look up to their dads, they fall in love with their dads.
I know.
And you have this person who's like not showing up and literally choosing like to just not see you, but you don't understand why. So now I know the reason was my dad was living in his car.
Oh.
He was trying to make ends meet because he still had to pay child support for 3 girls.
Oh man.
Apart from that, he was doing his thing and dating and everything, but he didn't have a place to.
He was grinding.
He was grinding and being a little player.
You ever seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness?
I love that movie
with Will Smith. I
love
cry every
it.
time.
Me too.
I cry every time. Like this, like
hearing this
about your dad. I'm like, wow. Like you know what? I have a heart for a guy like that.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Man, I felt it, you know?
Yeah.
That's insane.
He was doing his thing, and we did meet a lot of his girlfriends because he did have a lot of girlfriends.
Come on, man.
But
you can't just let the kids meet everybody.
When we met, I promise we met all of them. There was one that had.
Come on.
There was one
Can
that
we
had
just
butt
agree
implants.
that's not that. If you're single, man. I don't want to give advice to people with people with kids, because I don't got kids, so I guess I can't do that. But I think that's weird if like the dad just introduces every new girlfriend to all the girls every time.
Yeah,
it
gets
for the kids.
Gets so weird for the kid.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, that's
some grown ass shit. That's not for kids.
My dad was doing the best of both.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, interesting enough.
Okay, so at this time he's living out of his car, but now you know this.
Now I know this. Like I literally found this out maybe about a year.
So when you were
ago.
a kid, you probably hated it.
We hated it.
And you wouldn't have understood either.
No, but growing up in Colombia, like I would go with my dad to the farm all the time. Like I've always been the I was a tomboy growing up.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what it was. If I wanted to do it, I would do it. And my dad would be like working in farms and getting all dirty and everything. And I would always say that I was going to go with him. Yeah. So I would always go with him all the time. We were so close. He tells me all the time, sorry girls, that I'm his favorite daughter.
Oh man. Sorry girl.
Love you, BB and Kat, but literally.
Yeah.
And I loved him so much still, so I took it very hard. I know we all did, but I know that I remember I think I saw points in my sisters where they not that they would get over it, but it was like unexpected, and I just kept hoping that it wasn't what I was going to keep expecting. I had a lot of hope and faith in my dad. You really do love your dad a lot when you're like a little kid. I know. Like that's your man.
I never heard anybody describe it that way, saying that little girls fall in love with their dad. I think that's so true. Mm-hmm. Like it's so true, but I never heard it articulated like that. That's nice.
It's pretty cool.
I tell Grace all the time I want to have girls. I really do.
Yeah.
I think I'll be such a sucker.
I think you'll be a great girl dad.
I'll be such a sucker if I have. But people think I'm aggressive now.
You're going to unleash a crazy level. Oh, my God, with the boyfriends, you're going to be a psycho.
You ever seen Bad Boys 2?
You're going to be a psycho. Of course I have.
I'm going to be like Will Smith. Like, hey, I just got out of jail and I ain't going back. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh my God.
Okay, so you were a daddy's girl.
Yeah. So I grew up. So just fast forward a bunch of stuff. Like basically, my mom then meets my stepdad Mario, starts dating him,
and he's cool. He's cool. He's such
a
G.
I love him too. He's literally like. I don't like to say like my stepdad and my dad like it's two separate things. Like those are my dads, but I always describe him as my stepdad so people know when they see us like that's why I don't look like him or you know what I mean. And then my family with my mom and my stepdad, I also gained 3 sisters, and my sisters are
because he had 3 girls of his own.
So like Brady Bunch, straight up.
I know. So now you got 3 girls and 3 girls coming together. Oh wow,
6 girls.
That had to be catty at first.
It was. So it was so cool at first because you were meeting new kids, and then they were older than us, and we were younger, so they wanted to show us the way and play with us and entertain us. Like teenage girls love like playing with little kids. We think it's so much fun because it's so cute. We love to like just like show them the way and. I don't know. That doesn't sound weird, right?
Yeah, that sounds a little. I don't want to go there.
Girls will know what I mean.
Okay.
And then, where was I?
So you had 3 girls and 3 boys, but you were just fast forwarding. Yeah.
Oh, my sister. So then I gained the sisters. And then just fast forward, like you were asking about my relationship with my mom. That's when it got really hard.
Got it.
That's when it was like really hard for me because. I've always been the one that I've always felt really misunderstood because I was really rebellious. Yeah. I'm a full-on middle child. Like look up what it is, and that's who I am. I challenge everything.
Middle child.
I challenge everything. I want to figure things out for myself. I want like to be a part of something too, but it was a whole thing, and it was a lot of us. I went from being the second one to being the 5th one in the order. It just started to feel like such a big shift for me, and I remember like being so upset and angry because I had no clue what was actually triggering all of that was not being with my dad. Yeah. So I was just angry. So I was really angry towards my stepdad and towards my mom. Mm-hmm. I was such a bitch to my mom. And my mom was also very impatient with me. It was really hard for her to show me, to like level with me and show me patience because she didn't know what that felt like for herself from her childhood. Like with my mom, with her mom, she did, but my mom has 2 brothers that basically became her dad because her dad was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And my brothers like wouldn't let her do anything. They wouldn't like, they would restrict her so much. They didn't show trust in her. Like, so she like was like also like just angry in that scenario as well.
Yeah.
And so with me, if I slightly acted out instead of like, well, now I know the type of mom I want to be, I think I'd want to level with my kid and be like, what's actually like happening?
Yeah.
She would just like resort to like hitting me.
Oh,
and like,
man.
yeah, she would like chase me around the house and like throw me against walls and throw me into cold showers and literally like pin me down and stuff. I laugh now. It sounds terrible, but I laugh now because I remember she would do things to me and I would look at her and I'd be like, it doesn't hurt. And I would just laugh at her.
And you would just be,
and then my mom would start laughing. Yeah, and then my mom would start laughing because I would challenge her. So it's kind of like,
yeah.
Well, like it dates back to this one story when I was, this is super quick. In Colombia, like you don't have dishwashers. You have to wash everything manually in this like cement like things that you just like fill with water and everything. And so they would always be one full with cold water for rinsing and washing. And she would just pick me up and like dunk me into the cold water. And I would tell her, yeah, crazy shit. And I would come out of the water and like, qué rico. Like, oh, this feels so good. This feels so good. So good. And she's like, and I would just laugh. Like I couldn't stay mad at you because you were just always challenging me. So it's to that degree that I was relentless. Yeah. Like I would do and say whatever I wanted to do. And I got into a lot of trouble for that.
And you pissed her off.
I really pissed her off, yeah. And I triggered a lot of things in her life. Like my mom's always had need for control. She still has a need for control and she's working on it.
Yeah.
And I would bring that out of her because I was the one that triggered her.
Yeah, because she
couldn't control
you. Yeah. So it got rough. Okay, so it got rough. So, and then you're just about grown, right? And then tell me if you zeroed it there.
My relationship with my stepdad was really rocky for a long time too. I just felt like there was a lot of things that just didn't seem fair in the way that our family dynamic was, and I would voice things, and then like promises would be made to like me, and then things like wouldn't be fulfilled. So then I started having the trust issues things again. Yeah. But I just like I dealt with that as an adult. I love my stepdad so much, but we've worked on our relationship a lot too. I've worked really intentionally with my relationship with everyone.
Is such a G.
Yeah,
bro. I have to say, I love Mario.
He's a baller.
I wish he would spend more time up here. Yeah.
I know. I didn't want him to leave. I wanted him to like hang out like with you guys more.
He came to the men's group though.
I know.
What did he say about the men's group?
He told my mom. He didn't tell me anything because I didn't have a chance to talk to him. But he told my mom that what we're doing here is amazing.
Really?
He's like, those kids, man, they're doing something good there.
Oh man, yeah. We had a good one. I mean, the one that he came to was a weird one because everybody was drunk.
Well, he did call. So my stepdad's not drinking anymore, really, and he calls my mom. Okay, they're starting to drink and smoke cigars. Can you pick me up? Yeah. And I'm like, no. Tell him to stay there and just enjoy. Like you don't have to drink, but just enjoy it.
He smoked cigars.
So we made him wait.
Nice ones that night.
Well, we made him wait. I'm like, I'm gonna make him wait 30 minutes, just to force him to like put himself out there.
Yeah.
And when we picked him up, he's like, I told you guys I was ready like a while ago, like a little kid. But no, he loved the men's group and stuff. He just doesn't want to be around drinking, I guess. But anyway, so fast forward through that, it's something that I have in the back of my head always, just like how much I struggle with my relationship with my dads. And I think I was in 9th grade. Yeah, 9th grade going into 10th grade. My parents so at this point, like we were all going to private Catholic school. So my parents are very Catholic. They really taught me to have a relationship with God and have a lot of faith. So they really wanted us to like know that and everything. Yeah. They really did. And I struggled a lot with the Catholic religion for a while because I questioned everything. Yeah. So, I do think there's a ghost here. I think I felt something with Brian yesterday. We saw something fun. We're like, we were nowhere near that. And it just fell.
What was it?
Up the top of the simple syrup.
No way.
And the bottle was still standing upright. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it.
I'm
not letting that in here.
Yeah. Right after you were talking about how you're just raised super Catholic.
Nah, that's why I don't fuck with shit like that. We have holy water in Omen because of me.
Oh my Lanta. You know, I've never shared that story.
Oh my God, and you should share it.
Guys, it's crazy. You know how sometimes it's kind of cliche to hear like people say that once you start winning or, you know, you get haters and stuff like this. I actually don't think that this is even related to that at all. I think that's a different camp. What's happening here is like, I think that people see that I think, man, this could get deep, but like, I think what's going on in society right now is like this war between like good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I genuinely believe that. Like, I think it's not about the details. It's about like on a big ideological scale. Like, I think that a lot of the tension that exists right now in society, and you know, some of the stuff you see with like what's going on social media and the mainstream media, and I don't know, I don't want to get too deep, but I do think there's a war of good and evil going on right now. And I think that what we're doing here at Omen
Mm-hmm.
is like a beacon, a representation of the good, you know? And somebody got so upset. One day I was working, it had to be the afternoon, and the Amazon guy comes into the coffee shop and delivers. He's like, this is Omen Coffee, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he hands me the package, and then he walks out. I open it up, and it's one of those anonymous gifts that you can get on Amazon. Somebody had sent it anonymously. They gifted it to me, and I could feel that it was a book inside. So I was actually super pumped. I was like, oh man, somebody sent me a book. This is cool. Like, and I open up the package, and I pull out, it's a satanic Bible. Like,
It's insane.
somebody literally sent me a satanic Bible, and the anonymous note, it said, you know, it didn't say the name of the sender, but it said, now you can embrace who you truly are. And pulling that out and just like being excited for a book and then pulling it out and it being the satanic Bible, you guys have to understand. First, I was so confused, but then immediately I was like, wow, what we're doing is really special.
Yeah.
Because somebody they hate it so much that they went out of their way to send us that. So then, anyway, long story short, I tell Lau that, and she's like, oh my God, I'm bringing in holy water tomorrow. Did I tell you what Grace did? As soon as I pull it out and I realized what it was, the first reaction, it was like a few of us, was like, what the? And then the very next second, Grace is like, here, give me that. I'm throwing that in the garbage right now. And she's like, no, we're taking it out of here. We're not leaving it in here. And she just literally takes
the Catholic girl in us, Grace.
To the dumpster. And I'm like, oh shit, she took that seriously. But dude, that's crazy, right? But I do. I think what we're doing here at Omen is like,
but they always say like the enemy always attacks you when you're doing like what goes against them, and that's.
But that was like a big confirmation for me. It really was. I was like, because I've always thought of it as what I'm doing. This sounds deep too and crazy, but like I feel like I'm a servant of God, right? And I pray every day, and the only thing I ever pray for is guidance, and I'm like, guide me in thought, word, and deed, right? So thought, word, and deed, you know, that I might think the right things, that I might say the right things, that I might do the right things. And then, you know, I always, you know, I kind of like, it's weird, I sign off in my prayers, but I'll be like, I'm your servant, whatever. So anyway, I feel like what I'm doing here is fostering good, and I'm doing what I feel called to do. And when fucking Bible shows up, I'm like, oh, they made it spiritual. That means they know that what I'm doing is for a higher purpose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to share that story. It's crazy because I think when people hear that, they'll be like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Somebody said, you should get mad. Like when you hear that, if you love the Omen community, you should be upset that people hate what we're doing here so much. Like, you've been here. You know how special it is. You know that's why you keep coming back, right? There's so much good energy inside of this establishment. For people that hate it, it's just mind blowing. But anyway,
it really triggers people so much without them even stepping foot in here. It's like so crazy, just the thought of it.
Yeah, did I tell you about the lady that was in here the other day? In here, and so she, you know, primarily the group that doesn't support Omen are from the LGBTQIA plus community. And
sorry, 1 second.
I just guessed on the last few letters. I'm not sure if that's right, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. So primarily they're from that community. And ironically enough, there was a gay guy in here that had his friend meet him here. I don't know if she was gay or straight, but I know him because he's a regular customer. Uh-huh. And he's having somebody meet, and Jack is sitting next to him, and I'm just over there. No, not this Jack, the other Jack, young Jack, and I'm over behind the counter. And Jack comes over to me and he's like, "Yo, Mark, this woman over here is like talking mad shit on you right now." And I'm like, I'm like, "What is she saying?" And he's like, she's saying how she would never, because the guy offered when she showed up, he was like, "Hey, can I get you anything?"
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "No, I'll never support this guy." Saying that I'm like hateful and all this stuff. But your gay friend asked you to meet him here. What do you mean? And he bought coffee. Anyway, so Matt, if you ever hear this, I really appreciate you having your friends meet you here, and I hope you know how grateful we are that you are a part of our community. But it was crazy. It's crazy. How can you came here? Like, I don't know, people like that are lost. Anyway, yeah. All right. So
what did we go back to?
We were back to post Mario and your mom getting together.
I know where I can pick up.
Yeah.
So we were on Catholic school, and then there was my freshman year. I was my first year like at a high school that I thought was so cool, so much fun. Like it was a private school. The parties from the private school were fun because people had money.
Yeah.
And I had gone from like being a child of like not having a lot. So I was like, this probably is going to be so sick. What a cool experience.
Yeah.
And my freshman year, I got invited to go on trips with friends. They took me to like the Bahamas. Like I got to do cool things. So I thought it was a pretty cool experience. Well, my parents ended up sending 3 of us, so the 3 middle girls, to Costa Rica for a month.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, cool, summer vacation. At first, we hated it. We didn't want to be there, and then we didn't want to leave. We were there for 21 days.
Wow.
So our parents made it like a chunky, lengthy trip. So we were living in Costa Rica for almost a month. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I would love that.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And when we got back, they broke the news that like the 3 of us were going to get pulled from our schools and have to go to new schools.
Aww.
So and they knew that it was going to like hurt us because we were all going to school together.
Yeah.
In our order, one of them was a junior, one of them was a sophomore, and I was a freshman. So we were close.
Yeah.
And so we get to do like school events together. So when we found that out, we're like, oh my God, if we don't end up going to the same school, like we were like worried at first. And then my oldest sister, of the ones that were getting pulled out, her grandparents helped her pay for the tuition.
Yeah.
And this was like during the recession when my parents were like, what the hell is going to happen with us raising 6 kids in this economy?
Yeah.
So they started just acting really quickly and just thinking, okay, where can we save money? Where can we shift? So they put us in a different school. So I go from Catholic school to like a charter school, and it's like a public school. So shit is wild. It's fun, but it was
ghetto,
fun.
huh?
It's so different. And even then, though, the school I went to was not like a ghetto school at all. But kids were just like light and fun. Like I remember lunch, like
they weren't so uptight.
No,
probably.
they were just so
I went to
real.
public school my
they were
whole
so
life.
real,
Yeah.
and I loved it. Well, I went to public school and my whole elementary school, and then I got a little taste of the private school,
life.
the private school lunch. That's what really sucked me in. It's fire.
Yeah.
You have a freaking buffet.
They get you with the lunch.
Listen, the way to a person's art is their stomach.
I know.
So they got me with that, and I loved just like the sports and everything that I was doing there too. I felt like so cool being on like teams, and I didn't want to leave. It was a life that I didn't want to like let go of. But anyway, so I start this new school, and I just like start like a different life. I always struggled. This is important to say that growing up, I moved so many times. I think within about a year or something, my mom had counted. It had been, or like I think it was like a short period of time. We moved like 11 times.
Wow.
We just didn't have a consistent home base. I think you told me
it was like, I don't even know, 1.5 years, 2
something
years,
like
something like that. Yeah.
So I would never get really close to people because I knew that I was going to move again.
Yeah.
I made friends, but I wouldn't let myself get super. As a child,
you're like the most loving person now.
Because to my core, this is who I actually am.
Yeah.
That wasn't actually me. That was like a
you're
wounded version of me.
Well, you were on the extreme on one end, and now you've like bounced all the way to the other extreme where you're like, you have
bounce back to me.
You have like this mother energy, like, oh, come here, give me a hug. Doesn't matter who it is.
I love touching. I think hugging is so important. Like it's you get to make like a different impression with people when you're able to like hold them first, like embrace them for a second.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%.
I
just don't think everybody can pull it off. Like, not everybody.
I agree.
Is just about to walk up to me and be like, "Oh, give me a hug." Like, no. But like you, I'm like, "Oh, of course, my bad. I'm sorry, I forgot."
You're right. If I can think of a few people that if they approach me, I'd be like, "Fuck no."
Yeah, like no, I'm not giving you a hug. What are you talking about? Just shake my hand.
fist pumping. That's
Fist
it.
bump. Oh, okay.
But-
So you were cold.
Yeah. So I was cold on the inside, but I was always really nice. I was never like mean to people. I was just like dealing with my shit internally.
Mm-hmm.
I was mean to my sisters, but they were mean to me. They were so mean to me.
Yeah.
And it's just shit that you go through as kids. Like I hate when people hold resentment to that. Like being mad at like your sibling when you were kids for being mean to you. Like they didn't fucking know better either.
Yeah, they were going through.
Like
they were
work
going
through your
through-
shit and
yeah,
you'll
they
be
were going through
okay.
Some shit themselves. Yeah.
No one knows at that point in time like what you're supposed to be doing. You just do what you feel.
Yeah.
That's it. So I end up really liking the school. I whatever I do, it's like what my parents always say. I always go all in. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, this is my reality. I'm at a new school. Fuck it, I'm gonna go all in.
Yeah, I'm
gonna talk to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna join. I'm gonna get back to playing soccer. I'm gonna get back into cross country. Like I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna like whatever I did before. I'm just gonna keep doing it now. I liked who I was when I was like having those things.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I made a lot of friends. And I would take my little sister with me everywhere. My older sister though,
MP.
yeah, I call her my peanut. She's literally my peanut. I take her everywhere. And she was tiny. Like she did not hit her growth spurt and she's short now.
She's still short.
She's still short, but she
never
was
hit
little.
A growth spurt. That's what you talking about.
No, when I show you I'll show you photos. She was so tiny.
Do you know they used to call me Marky Peanut?
No way.
My mom. That's so funny that you call MP Peanut.
Peanut.
Yeah. Because I was really tiny too. I was always
Smaller.
man. I was so small. Like my parents told me that when we first came to them, like I had like rickets or something. Like it's apparently that means you were like malnourished as a kid.
Okay.
And, you know, so like not only was
Oh my
I
God.
small like structurally, but I was like I was really tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they call me Marky Peanut.
Oh my God.
I know.
I thought it was cute until you said this story and it's sad.
Whatever. Anyway, so everybody has their heart. Okay, so
But anyway.
new high school.
So new high school. So I start. Okay, so like growing up too, when you're very Catholic, like they scare you with like sex
Yeah.
and like dating. They're like, don't do it. Like you're gonna
Really?
go to hell. Yeah, it's like a thing.
Okay.
And I think in Hispanic cultures, like for women, it's like honor yourself and like don't do that. Like it's low if you do that. So like growing up, I didn't really have a lot of like boyfriends. I had one boyfriend that I had in high school that we went off into college as in a relationship as well, but he was crazy. I don't want to just
This ain't Maury.
I'm not bringing him back into the equation, so I'm just gonna leave it there.
Okay.
You know it's bad when I just have
Yeah.
to say it like that.
We're gonna leave that one out.
Can you cut this out, Jack? So, well, toxic me, like I was also daddy issues. Like daddy issues is a real thing.
Really? You think so?
100%.
Huh.
So as I believe mommy issues is a thing too.
So what's
Serial killers come from mommy issues. It's a real thing.
Yeah. So what's four parent issues?
I don't know.
I had 4 parents.
We need to figure that
Yeah, we
out.
need to figure
Actually,
that
I
out.
have 4 parents too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, same.
So
yeah.
I need to figure out.
Oh, your
My
your
dad too.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, cool. So
So I don't know.
you were bringing MP everywhere.
So I brought her everywhere. We're really close. And then I just started like going out. I remember like I smoked weed for the first time.
Oh, hell yeah, it's lit.
My weed story of the first time I was smoking weed is funny because in high school you'd show up to parties and they would have rolled joints and blunts and they would charge you $1 for a hit.
Really?
And I remember
For a
paying.
hit?
Yes.
Oh my land! So these guys
And I
were
remember
hustling.
I remember telling my cousin, "Fuck it, let's do it." And she's like, "For real?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I have $2." And I just remember like.
That's hilarious.
So we would smoke and we would sneak out of my house. So this like led me into like the life of like, fuck everything. I'm just gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But it wasn't never super extreme. It was extreme to like my before.
Yeah.
Not extreme to the bigger picture of things.
Yeah. And you were also just saying that you never really had boyfriends. You had one boyfriend, and then when did you meet the guy that you ended up being with?
So I dated my high school boyfriend for a year and a half, and then I took a year to myself. I don't know if it's like a thing, and I did it intentionally this past time with my breakup. I took a year for myself.
Yeah.
But I think that's just my nature, is to really make sure that I'm okay before I go into anything.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to drag anything from the past into the future. So I think that's what I was doing now looking back. And I was in such a good place before I met my ex-boyfriend. I was working. I was like one of the only girls like of my friend group that had like a full-time job and was making good money because I was living on my
high
own.
School or college?
College.
Yeah.
And I was living on my own, so I had to pay my rent. I had to pay like my bills. My mom raised us extremely independent. So once you were like 18, like everything's on your own.
Yeah. Don't ask me for no money.
Yeah. And they didn't really have much to give. Imagine they had 6 kids.
Yeah.
So like every dollar had like a name to it, you know? I worked my ass off, went to school, but then it got to a point where I really wanted my degree because my parents always told us, you're immigrants. Like this is part, like if you can make it as like a college graduate, it's already a big thing.
Yeah.
Coming as an immigrant. So they really pushed that on us and I really wanted it too.
I have to say, I love immigrants. I really do. I love their mentality. I love how much they appreciate the opportunity that a life in America comes with, and their work ethic. It's just undeniable. Some people will hear this and say it's racist. I'm sorry. It's undeniable.
I don't think it's racist.
Everybody knows that stereotype exists for a reason.
Yeah,
These
I think it's something that needs to be
work
admired.
so motherfucking hard.
Yeah.
And they're some of the best entrepreneurs in the country. Like people that grow up here, they're like, I hate to say this, but they're like brainwashed into like the conveyor belt of life, which is go to high school, go to college, get a safe job, retire. So you don't see these like hungry, savage entrepreneurs from people that grew up with that, indoctrination, let's say. But these immigrants come here from other places and oh my gosh, they work so damn hard. And you're like a reflection of that, even though I don't think of you as an immigrant.
Why? You think of me as an American?
Yeah, you're
America, baby.
You came out, You came out and had Ted Drews in Missouri, okay? You're American now.
I literally looked at him and Grace and I said, I'm in America, guys.
I swear. That is what she said. We took her out for custard, which is a Midwestern thing to do when she first got here. And we go out, we get custard. We're standing there. It's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. We're standing there eating ice cream, and Lau looks at me and Grace, I'm an American. Like, oh man, this is the most American shit you ever did.
No, guys, my whole experience out here has been very American, and I fucking love it. I'm so grateful for this country. Like, I
because Miami's basically like,
I'm like Miami is
it's like
South
Cuba.
America's hot. Like, it's straight up is still.
I know.
But it's amazing. I love it because there's a lot of diversity.
Spanish is the first language in some of those neighborhoods, like for real.
Yeah. And everybody knows each other's Spanish because you're around it all the time.
Yeah.
There's different like
dialects.
Yeah, within it. And so when you go somewhere different and you try to talk to someone in a specific way, they look at you like, I've never heard that word. Yeah. But in Miami, like everyone gets each other. Like everyone gets everyone's culture. It's really cool. Yeah. So yeah,
all right. So but when you met the guy that you
so I met him. And I met him because he was a year younger than me. Well, he's like 7 months younger than me, but in high school, a year younger than me. So I never really knew him.
Yeah.
But he was friends with one of my best friends at the time, and my best friend, he would always tell me, "There's this guy who likes you. He like has a huge crush on you. He doesn't even know you, but he like has this fixation. Like he's just like, I have to get to know Lau."
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so fucking weird.
Yeah,
like
it's a little weird, but maybe not. Weird. Maybe they just seen you, and he was like, "Oh man,
I got it like that." I'm such a bitch. I don't got it like that. But so whatever. So we started dating, and we didn't actually start dating. I'm not a hoe. But I was still if like just like part of me was still closing the chapter from before.
Yeah.
In the sense of getting over like being hurt, not over like what he did, but just like me having feelings of hurt. So I wanted to protect myself, and I didn't want to let anyone in right away.
Yeah.
So instead of actually like dating him, we would text a lot, and then one day I booty called him.
Oh man.
I was like, I'll go to your place. It was Halloween night, and I was like, I'll go to your place if you're down. And he was like, I'm down, like go. And apparently
I'm down immediately. I'm down.
And then apparently, I mean, I'm an adult. Yeah, we slept together that night, and then we just got along so well. But I had never done that. Like at my age, I've never had a one night stand really. I've always like had something with someone, and that's like when that would happen. So I found myself kind of giving that part of me of like, well, that's my comfort too, but also like this is how I protect myself as well.
Yeah.
And our relationship started like that. It went really well in the beginning. We got along super well. He taught me a lot of cool things. I was fascinating and cool to him too, I guess, the way that I was. And I was my happy self that you see like now. And he gravitated towards all of that. And then we just started dating. And we didn't even have an anniversary. Our anniversary would always fall around New Year's Eve just because that's my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, it's the beginning of something and it's your favorite holiday. Let's just make it that day. So that was kind of like our go-to. And we did it for 3 years before we broke up once, or 2.5 years. I don't even remember, before we broke up once. And this is so like, I believe that everyone gets 3 loves is like what they say, like three big loves.
Really?
Yes, this is what they say.
I never heard that either.
So like the first one.
I'm just learning shit left and right.
Right now?
Yeah.
Is this going good?
Yeah, this is going good.
Okay. So there's this thing that they tell you that you have 3 boyfriends. 3 big loves.
Huh. Is this a Latina culture thing?
I think it's just I don't even know where it comes from actually. Okay. I'm not sure.
Okay. So
but the 3 are, the first one is like your young love, your first love, the one that drives you crazy. You're just nuts. Like there's a lot of immature stuff done. Mm-hmm. It's like your learning relationship, like your first relationship, training wheels type of thing. I don't know. And then the second one is the one that really breaks your heart. Like when that one ends, it's the one that takes like everything out of you because you've invested so much with this person and it hurts so much. It's a much more real hurt.
Yeah.
But with that hurt comes so many lessons.
Yeah.
So it's kind of shaping you more. Yeah. And then they say that your third relationship, and I don't even know if it's like 3 period because people have had so many relationships, but it's just your 3 like top loves. And you'll know which one's which if you look back. And your third one is when you find your person.
Yeah.
And that's the one that's supposed to last forever.
Yeah.
So,
so he's the second one.
So he's the second one. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
But in my relationship, I thought he was the one.
Yeah.
Because he was great. He was really sweet. He was really loving. He was Cuban American. So like he had that like soft Hispanic feel that Latinos have and the Hispanics have. It's just like a different, he was great, honestly. But there was just a lot of things that just didn't make sense. So we started dating when I was 21 and he was 20. We broke up at like 23 for 3 weeks. He broke up with me out of nowhere. And I just remember being heartbroken and crying and just all the things. And then we got back together 3 weeks later. My God, young relationships. Like when I look back at those years, those are so exhausting. I know. They're so exhausting.
I know, when you're a baby.
But if you're with the right person, I feel like those exhausting days and years feel so good when you've overcome them.
Yeah.
When I look back, I'm like, this was for nothing. Like,
why'd I go through all that? Yeah.
But I love hard. I've always been someone to love hard. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to like work on it. I loved him.
Yeah.
We got back together a year after that, breaks up with me again. And you know, I don't share stories and perspectives to make anyone look bad. I'm going to say just things really like directly for what they were.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to communicate with me. And I was really emotional. I was really emotional. Like,
they say communication is the key in relationships.
I hate when people say anything else. That is the correct answer. 100%. Yeah. And it's also like the willingness to want to work on it. So if one person doesn't want to work on it, the relationship is doomed.
Yeah, it becomes very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't build a relationship by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working hard. I was trying. It just wasn't working for him. And he started to date someone like literally right after we broke up. I remember I went through his phone one day.
Wait, but the final time, right?
The second time we broke up. We broke up 3 times. Yes.
Come on, man.
I know.
Come on.
I went through his Instagram because I had a gut feeling and I don't like doing that. I did that to him 3 times. And the 3 times I found something. The 3 times in 8 years, not a lot. Girls, you know if you've done that shit. 3 times is not a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found something and I remember I'm going to love him so hard so that he just like doesn't want to leave me. I remember thinking that and I was like, what the fuck? Yes.
That is backwards.
It's so backward. It's so toxic.
I mean, no, it's a good thing to want to, give your love like that. But the reason it's
not, it's bad. It's so toxic. So, I mean, I was toxic. I was literally like a broken version of myself.
Yeah.
So I wanted whatever love I could get from him. Well, he ends up breaking up with me. And then at this time, we are like 3 weeks away or 2 weeks away from this birthday trip that I had gotten for him. Mm-hmm. Like I flew us out to Colorado, got our Airbnb, rented a car, got us a ski passes, went skiing. Like I spent so much money on his birthday, like for this trip. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I'm still going to go. If you want to go, you can, but we don't have to be together. We can just go on this trip.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to go, but I went but I ended up going anyways. He ended up coming anyways too.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh.
He ended up coming. And that was the most painful trip of my life because it was 2 weeks after we had broken up. And I was in the same room as him, in the same bed as him. And it was literally like the person who had just texted me in the morning how much he loved me by like the afternoon hated me.
Wow.
It was that feeling.
Yeah.
It was so painful.
Yeah, that sucks.
But I was there on the
Yeah.
trip. And I remember just telling him, remember how good I know I'm not a bad girlfriend. I know that I'm not.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Like,
Yeah.
there was so much hurt during that time period.
Yeah. That's sad.
It's really
Man.
sad. Heartbreak
I'm the
is sad.
same, honestly. My heartbreak is so bad for me.
Oh, it's so bad.
It really is. And I'm
It's so bad.
soft. I'm so motherfucking soft.
Yeah, but I think it's because you feel hard. Like, you feel heavy, so.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. So we get back, and I decided to cut him off. I was like, okay. I'm cutting him off. I'm blocking him on everything. I sent him a message because he would text me in the morning, like, how are you doing? And I'd be like, good, how are you? And then tell my friends, he texted me, guys. What does that mean? So it was fucking with me so bad.
Yeah.
So I blocked him on everything, sent him a message, and he's like, you don't have to do that, but I respect where you're coming from. And I didn't even answer and blocked him.
Yeah.
And then I jumped into just working on myself. I always want to find myself. I think when I'm finding myself in a situation like that, I'm like, I just want to find me. Like, I want to just feel like me. So I did that. I started therapy.
That's a great gut instinct. It really is.
I think
Because most
so.
people, like,
Are reckless.
I think for most people, I've always imagined that there's this perpetual cycle that works in one direction or the other. And one is, like, when you don't feel good about yourself, you don't treat yourself good, right? And so and then when you don't treat yourself good, you still don't feel good. So, you just, it has this vicious cycle. But oftentimes, like, for example, like in prison, this is when I kind of realized this, but you have these guys that were either addicted to drugs or whatever, and I'm trying to help them out of sobriety. It's the same, or out of addiction. And what I realized is if I could just get a guy to start working out, like, he'll start, like, within a week or two, he'll start feeling more like better. And then he'll be like, oh, maybe I should, like, stop eating so much sugar, and it creates this vicious cycle that ends up working on itself, because when you feel better, you want to treat yourself. You want to
do better for yourself.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. But yeah, I think that, so most people, when they're in a bad situation like that, they feel like shit. So what do, right? The stereotype is you sit at home on your couch, you eat a whole half gallon of ice cream. You wake up in the morning, you don't even open the blinds in your house. You stay it's dark. So, like, that's what people usually do.
I think it's called, like, bed rotting.
Yeah. But for you like instinctively go the other. That's fire. Like, that's so fire because it's so hard. Because I'm one of those people to the extreme. Like, when I don't feel good.
Well, I get that way if I'm under a lot of stress. If I'm stressed out, that's what I go to. And I felt that sometimes here, and I'm like, don't do that. You know better.
Yeah.
But when I'm in a position of, like,
when he left you didn't. That's so fire that you were just like, cool, I'm just gonna get better.
I did the same thing this time too. Blocked him as well. Like, I didn't even block him. I just didn't reach out.
Wait, this time?
Oh, so this, like, the second time.
Oh, that was the middle time?
Yes.
Oh.
I get back with him. I'm a dumbass.
No.
Yes.
What?
Just kidding. I don't regret anything. That's mean. I don't regret anything, but I did.
What?
What are you thinking about this all right now? My phone, right?
Yeah.
So I get back together with him because I worked on myself, and he somehow shows me that he's doing the same thing. I remember, like, I hired, like, a coach to help me with the diet. I lost, like, 25 pounds, put on muscle, like. I was going out with my friends, having fun, working hard, making money, living by myself. I was good.
Yeah.
I would take myself out all the time. I would go on beach days by myself, lunch days by myself, dinner days by myself. Like,
I can totally picture that.
I was so good.
Yeah.
So I thought he was too, because he showed me little bits and pieces, but he showed me really what he knew I needed to see, I think.
Yeah.
And when we got back together, I remember we were kayaking, and, like, by, like, a little, like, island, and he was like, do you want to be my girlfriend again? And I remember thinking, like, oh yes, we did it. But then being so mind fucked, like, a few months later when I started to see the same patterns coming back.
Yeah.
And
but then you stayed for
I stayed for 3.5 more years. Yeah.
Oh my.
I moved in with him and his parents because we were saving money to get, like, our own place. And I turned into such an angry person.
Yeah.
I was so angry. I was so reactive and defensive. And I love his
like
mom.
That,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I can't picture you like that.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy because that's why I love being out here, because people don't know that.
Yeah.
I'm I'm not ashamed of it at all, because I am who I am now. That I needed that to happen.
Yeah.
But I didn't like me then either.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Yeah.
For the first time, I feel so aligned, and everybody around me has been so accepting of who I am, and this is the only person that I want people to know.
Oh,
like,
man,
this is me, you know?
That's what I try to tell people on that point of like one of the most powerful things I ever realized, because I used to like think to myself like, oh, I'm never going to be able to get a job, or like nobody's ever going to like trust me again, or nobody's ever going to respect me, or whatever. People are just going to think of me as a convict forever. And what I realized is like, when you decide, you can decide on any day. Like you could decide today to just you could show up as anybody you want to. And like, if you just show up differently today, every person that you meet today for the first time, in their brain, like, there's no other version of you that even exists. Yeah. Like, this is just who. That's why sometimes I tell people I went to prison, they're like, I can't even imagine that, because the person I am today is completely, different. In a lot of ways from the person that I was then. So that person is unimaginable to them. Isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
And so like, some people, they think of, because I often, especially with the men's group, I talk about this concept of like, really spending time coming up with what you think is the best version of you. Like, what does the best version of you look like, is the journaling prompt that I give them. And most people think, I've found, that the best version of them is like some long-term goal that they should work to over time. And it's like, they completely overlook. They miss the point. Yeah. They just overlook the opportunity that they have tomorrow to show up as the best version of them. Like, you could just do it today. Like, what, in every moment of the day, just be like, well, what would the best version of me do in this moment? You know what I mean? And
I put that on my story today.
And just do that. And just do that all day. And then before you know it, you'll probably fail, because I do every day. But you'll probably fail in moments. But for the grand scheme of things, for the most of it, you've been practicing being the best version of you. It's so, I don't know. Anyway, it's so cool that, I don't know, that you brought that up. But
it's cool. Yeah. That's why I kind of like that my mom, that's why I love that my mom came to the women's group, because she shared some of who I used to be. Yeah. And it really, I think it kind of helped me feel more confident in leading the group, because I was like, oh, wow, I really have come a long way. I struggle a lot with imposter syndrome, thinking that I'm not worthy of leading the group for the women. Yeah. But when I hear my own story, I'm like, no, hold on. I am. I definitely can help someone.
Yeah. You definitely struggled with imposter syndrome at first.
I still do.
You're getting so good.
I still get so
you're
nervous.
Getting so good.
And I get the worst anxiety before everyone.
But you gotta be willing to be bad at it before you can be great at it. Like,
I'm literally
I don't think you were ever
it.
bad either. Like, I could just tell that you were really nervous. But now you're just like, it's gonna go good. I'm good.
I hope so. I love my girls. Like, I love the women in the group so much that I truly try to give it every single bit of me. Yeah. Every single time. So I hope that they're feeling that. But
I think they are. I think it's undeniable. So. Like, the group has been growing consistently for the past several meetings.
Yeah.
Like,
it's getting back to the good numbers. Yeah. But so anyway, I'm dating him, and then I'm angry. I love his mom. His mom's amazing, but he's like, that's her baby. So her and I would clash a lot, and then she became a big problem in my relationship with my ex-boyfriend, because she would tell me things very passive aggressively and kind of be mean, kind of when someone's in a really I don't even know how to explain it. When someone's in a bad mood and they want you to know, but they treat you like shit, but they don't talk to you. They just want you to know that they're in a bad mood. Yeah. It was kind of like that, but that wasn't the majority of our relationship. Her and I got along amazing. Yeah. But those things would happen at small moments, and I would get mad at him for not defending me or saying something yeah. And I would always tell him, you don't have to fight with her. Just tell her.
You can just tell her.
You don't do this to Lau. Lau did nothing to you. So I just would get so angry.
That he wouldn't stand up.
That he would not stand up. Yeah. At all. So that was a big divide, a big part of the division in our relationship. Yeah. And then I just started to see him just not in the masculinity that I wanted in a man. I started to see a lot of things that he was missing that I just didn't. I felt like I was going to settle.
The masculinity that you wanted in a man?
So I wanted to feel like I had a protector.
Yeah.
And someone to guide me. And I didn't. I was the one that guided both of us. If something went wrong, he would turn to me and say, what are we going to do? Yeah. And Like if we had to think quick on our feet, we needed to pay for something, we didn't have the money, like I would look for things to do. Like I was always so resourceful. I've always been resourceful, but I was the one looking for stuff to sell or looking for work to do or something just to make a little extra money.
Yeah. So you have a traditional like way of thinking about like men and women in a relationship, like.
Well, so growing up, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I've read so much in the period between our breakup that I wanted to find someone who would compliment me as a woman.
Got it.
With my femininity, like the traits that I had.
I do too, 100%. I like as far as like men being like providers, protectors, and women being, you know, caretakers and, you know,
nurturers.
Yeah, nurturers and caregivers. Like, yeah. Anyway, I share that, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I believe in that. I don't think I was super aware of it, but since I had that break to like figure out what I wanted and think of an ideal person that I wanted to date, that came to my mind. So when we were dating, I started picking up on a lot of those things.
Yeah, now you're like literally analyzing the man.
Yeah, and then my mom was super impatient with us. I started to be that way towards him.
Yeah.
So I was carrying my mom's reactions towards me and putting it onto him because I was angry.
Yeah.
And then we had moments, but the majority of our relationship was amazing. Like this would happen few and far between, but when it would happen, it felt so heavy.
Yeah.
It felt like I don't want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
something has to change. We have to work together to change
like this
something.
can't be a regular pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to talk. He never did, ever. And so he breaks up with me the third and final time. But he has this thing about him. He did the same thing the previous time where he shows me more before he tells me for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I can always just remember, we broke up the first week of June. I don't remember the date, but I remember it being May 18th, 2022. And I remember having my intuition's on point. A woman's intuition is very strong.
Yeah.
And it's even stronger when you're in your femininity, like when you're aligned with yourself.
Tune with it. Yeah.
Super strong. So I had this feeling, I'm like, he's going to do it again. I just had a feeling. Dang. So I started picking up on his patterns, and it was basically waking up without saying good morning and going to sleep without saying good night. He loved like physical touch. So he used to always cuddle with me, and it went from cuddling with me, like being on top of me, like for the whole night, and me being on the edge of the bed. That was like the biggest joke, because he would always lay like so close to me.
Yeah.
And then the next day, like completely, like if I put my arm on him, he would move.
Really? Oh man, that's sad.
And I did that for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Of that. And I would say, good morning, I love you. I'm super affectionate. I'm very loving. Like how I hug, like I would hug him and just try to hold him, and he wouldn't hug me back. It was like hugging a board. I couldn't kiss him. So I stopped even trying, because I was like, I'm not going to get rejected the whole time.
Yeah.
He would always text me, did you make it safely? Have you eaten? Like he would check on me like all the time.
Yeah.
He stopped doing that. And it was crazy, because 3 weeks before that, he had just learned about how to deliver a baby. He's in school to become a paramedic. So, or I don't know his life anymore, but that was like his thing back then. So he was trying to share with me how excited he was about the idea of having kids. And he's like, I can't wait till like we do this. I know you're going to be an amazing mom. Like, I'm just so proud of the people that we're becoming. And it was crazy. And then this happened. So it was like, just imagine like how it felt. I felt the worst anxiety. I lost weight. This is when I was actually wrapping up phase 3 of 75 hard.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Swear to God.
You did the whole Live Hard program?
I did.
You're a savage.
I did 75 hard, phase 1, phase 2, 75 hard again, phase 3.
Oh,
for 365 days of a year, I was on the program 240 days. So imagine what was going on. I'm becoming this fucking killer version of myself, and he's not. So he starts to feel a certain way.
Oh,
so
man.
He starts to pull away.
Wow, that's crazy. So you guys break up.
So we break up, and it was such a difficult breakup. I also went through his phone the day before we broke up, and I found messages with other girls.
Oh man.
And that was what did it for me, because the next day he didn't even have like the guts to break up with me. He would just treat me like this, like really shittily or shitty, whatever. Like he had promised me that when I made the Live Hard like program date, like the end date, we would go out to celebrate the next day, because he saw how much work I put in it. Because I think this is important to share, but between all of this, I went through like a lot of really severe health issues. I put on like 60 pounds in like a month and a half.
Oh, wow.
My hormones went crazy. I had gotten off birth control, and this was like during the second part of our relationship. And I was working out and eating healthy, but my body was just so crazy. And then I started under eating, because you start to feel like shit. I'm like, well, I feel like shit. I'm just going to fall into that pattern. So I did. I fell into a really bad depression, a really bad anxiety. I remember just like the first time started to have suicidal ideations, I freaked the shit.
Really?
I was like,
That's sad.
yeah, I was like, what is going on with my life? Because I was the happy self me, but I was so far gone.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got myself out of that. 75 hard.
Yeah, that's
I got myself
crazy.
out of it. Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I didn't want to take medication or pills like that. It was that bad. Like I was desperate that I was like, if I do anything, it's going to be me taking medication so that I could do it fast, but I don't want to do it like that.
Yeah.
So I did 75 hard with my sister.
That helped you? That's crazy.
You know what I needed? I just needed to get my shit together.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I needed? Who would have thought? Who'd have
Because
thunk
people, because these
Isn't that
days
something they
people
say?
with depression and anxiety, they're like, they need this. No, you
No,
just need to get
you
your
just
shit
need
together.
to get your shit together. Yo.
I don't, and I'm not underplaying
We
it. I
need to
hate when
make a
people say
fucking
that.
commercial that says that. Do you have depression? And then you think it's a prescription, and then it's just wow. Yeah, you just need to get your shit together.
Well, it's
Yo,
true.
that's a fact.
It's
That
true.
is 100%.
And I say that with all the freaking love in the world.
But I
because
also
you
say
don't
it from
need
experience.
From
Yeah,
experience,
oh,
but
yeah.
also like to love you into doing it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to stay in that forever,
Yeah,
and you don't have to resort
don't.
to shit that's gonna make you feel worse
don't.
long term. You can get out
You
of
can
it.
get your shit together.
Get your
You
shit
really
together,
can.
bitch.
And it's highly effective.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Yes.
Sponsored by Lau.
Sponsored by Omen.
Fuck yeah. So, whatever. I'm doing that. He promised me we were gonna go out. We didn't end up doing anything. I got myself ready and took myself on a date. I was like,
Wow.
I'm celebrating. I literally walked downstairs from the second floor and told him, "Are you ready? You coming?" And he said, "No."
Wow.
He's like, "I have to work tomorrow. I'm just gonna rest today."
Like,
And I was like, "Okay."
I bet. Yeah, I'm out.
I grabbed my stuff. I
can
went
picture
out.
you. That's
Yeah.
sad.
I went
I'm
in.
sorry.
It's okay. I mean, it's
Yeah. That's
it
sad.
is a shitty feeling, but
Ugh.
now I just look back and I'm like,
soft.
it's okay.
My heart breaks. Oh, poor
Yeah.
you did that to Lau. I'll beat that guy's ass. Anyway.
No hate towards him.
Let's fast forward out of that one.
Speed the fuck out of there.
So when did you first hear about Omen then?
So I'm going through this. I hadn't found you yet. This was in June of last year. Our breakup happened. I moved out of his house like that same day, packed everything. But wait, really quick. The way we broke up, I asked him. I was going to go do groceries. I had just come back from going to Costco. I spent like $300, and I was like, I need to go to Publix, which is a supermarket down there,
Yeah.
to get the rest of the stuff that we need, which was mostly stuff he needed because I would always cook and have prep meals for him and make sure that everything. I'm a Latina, okay? We're wifeys.
Yeah.
So I always wifeys. So, and my friends always said it. They're like, Lau's mom raised wifeys though. Like Latinas have that natural instinct, but my
Wifeys,
mom
yeah.
raised like good women. So I'm like, she raised a wifey.
It's like a
So I look at him and he's coming in. I'm going out the front door. He's coming in, and I told him and I said, if you're going to break up with me in the next few days, tell me right now. I'm not about to spend another $150 at Publix and not get my money back.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do this? And he's like, I don't want to do it anymore. And I looked at him and I said, this is the third time you're doing this,
Yeah.
and this is the final time.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And
That's sad.
and he literally said, okay.
What's he doing now?
I have no fucking clue.
I bet not much. Anyway, okay, so
I think there's a clear picture in his life where you can see when I made my way out.
yeah.
It reflects it. So, so I start working on myself. So in that point, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get a new job. I'm gonna create a new Lau.
Mm-hmm.
Like putting your legs like this is a little weird.
You don't have to do it. That's how I sit.
Well, I want to fold my legs. It's more comfy.
Oh, got it.
So is this okay?
Mm-hmm.
My highness is hitting me more. But anyway, it's good because this is a good topic. But so in all of this, I got a job. I ended up getting a job as a software sales.
Oh, the job you left was your new job?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was there for 10 months.
Got it.
And I gave that job. That job was so brutal. Sales is not for everyone.
No, sales is not for everyone. People think it's sweet.
It is not. It is not. And I didn't leave it because I couldn't do it. Because when I was there, I did okay. Honestly, like I did pretty good with my relationship building, which was the core of the entire sale. I crushed that.
Yeah.
And so my manager loved when we needed to close like a deal, and he would say, "Who can get me some money?" And I would be like, "I'm gonna try to get this guy to close on this," and they would close on it.
Yeah.
Like there was 1 week that I closed. So over there, like high ticket items or like average is like 20 to 25, higher is like 50 to or 45, no, 40 to like 60. And then like we call the whales, anything over 100K, I think is what it is. Or 80K, something like that.
Yeah.
And there was one week that I closed like 47K.
Oh, wow.
To just to get us to like our November or December quota.
To your goal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he loved, I could pull through when I needed to pull through, but I had the worst anxiety on phone calls, and they sold us on the fact that it wasn't a cold calling. It was fucking cold calling.
It was cold calling.
In this job, I would wake up and I would listen to the podcast, your podcast.
Really?
I would drive. I would
No
wake up
way.
in the morning. Yep. I'd wake
Give
up in the
more, be
morning.
more.
The what?
Give more, be more.
Give more, be more.
Oh.
I was a big advocate of give more, be more. And I would share with everyone. I was like, listen to these guys. You're fucking amazing. I got my
so
mom,
funny.
my sister's best friends. Like, I got a bunch of people. Yeah.
Oh,
I had people
cool.
listening to your shit.
Okay.
And I would post really cool like versions of it.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, but I'm also back into therapy, working on myself. And that's another thing that I always do. Like a knee-jerk reaction for me when I'm struggling is therapy. So now I've actually talked about this on my story today. Like looking back now, I know that therapy shouldn't be a reaction that you take for something. It should be like something you do proactively.
Yeah.
So I continue doing it. I still do it now. I'm a big advocate of it because it just keeps me like leveled. Yeah. So
you're listening to GMVM.
So this is GMVM and going to therapy and working on myself and not dating anybody, but people were like offering themselves and I was just like not in it. So obviously makes people them want you more. So I was dealing with like a lot of, it was really confidence boosting for me. I was like, oh shit.
You were winning.
I was like, well, I'm doing good.
Listening to GMVM. Yeah.
Single life is good. When I move from something, I don't look back. I really don't look back.
Yeah.
So I deleted everything. And I actually had this one girl a month and a half into my breakup message me, a girl that he was dating messaged me on Instagram and asked me if we were still together. He's like, I just want to confirm, are you and him still together? I'm not going to say his name. Are you and him still together? Because I'm dating him and I just want to make sure. I was like, what the fuck?
That is crazy.
And the girl's she's a badge, what do they call it? A badge bunny. So she just like sleeps with like cops and firefighters and shit like that.
No way.
It's a thing. That's who he was entertaining a month and a half into our breakup while I was working on like healing my shit and working on myself.
Snooze,
it was fire.
You know?
It was fire.
Fine.
And I had just finished 75 hard, the live hard. So I was on that high of keeping
you're
my
like,
shit.
oh, I'm the shit.
I was feeling amazing. I felt completely unstoppable. Like I embraced myself and who I was so much too. Like I embraced the pain of the breakup and the pain that I was hurting, and I just said I'm just gonna feel everything. I'm not suppressing a single thing. I'm gonna feel absolutely every inch of pain that I need to, because I never want to go through this again.
That's so powerful.
And I just did it. Oh my god, it got wrenching.
Feel it. Oh man,
I spent so much time by myself. At this point I started journaling, which I thought that I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like he's such an advocate for journaling, and I am too. So I know that he's I'm like, I know that this is important for him too. I don't know. It was just cool to hear like what you guys were doing and how you were doing it, and that I was doing it in my life too.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I didn't have was I felt so lost with my purpose.
Yeah.
So lost with my purpose. And it was something like I'm a deep girl. Like I like deep conversations. I like deep things. Like I just like to do, like, I like to get down to like why people do things and do they love it? And if you don't love it, what would you be doing if money wasn't a factor in what you did? I really like to know people. People fascinate me a lot.
Yeah.
So,
in yourself, but yeah.
And I ended up just digging deeper. My grandmother passes away at the end. Well, this is important to say. When we broke up, I had already known about 75 Hard, so I had the whole like Andy Frizella, like I want to go to St. Louis and I want to meet that guy. He's so cool.
Oh, now you live in St. Louis.
I haven't met him yet.
Yeah, but
Andy,
you've been
the day
around.
will come.
Yeah.
I've been like this close to Andy and been too nervous to say hi because I don't want to be like a weirdo.
Dude, he's gonna love you. He's got to meet you. I'm sure he's. Yeah, I'm sure
one day
he's gonna love you.
My mom's gonna be so
gonna
jealous.
come down and stuff. But I hope he comes to the shop before he comes to men's group. But yeah. Anyway,
so
but that's funny. It's crazy that you live in St. Louis now. Yeah.
My life is nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
you were lacking purpose.
I was lacking purpose. So I started looking for it, and that was my intention with my breakup this time, was to really find myself, because I believe when you find yourself, sorry, I think I have something in my lip. When you find yourself, you start living the life like that's authentic to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's my purpose.
Man,
I know I'm
powerful.
supposed to help people.
You know, I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, I don't know. Never mind. I don't want to derail you.
It's
I'm sorry.
okay.
That would have been a whole nother conversation.
It's okay. We really should have started a podcast when you said it.
Yeah, I said it mad early.
I know. Well, I was nervous. I didn't know you yet. I didn't want to commit to something else.
I didn't know you. Yeah.
You have to show me you were like worth committing to.
Okay.
So, okay. I'm working on myself, doing this, like reading a lot, working on myself, dating myself, working in a new job, learning new skills. Whenever I do anything, I try to soak up as much of the experience. So I was all in.
Yeah.
And then I started going out with some friends and all of this, whatever. So I find myself January making a vision board and just feeling like there was something that I was missing. And I actually put Newtown on my vision board, and I put like National Park, and I live now like so close to a national park.
A national park. That's fire.
It says Newtown. I have the word communities on there.
No way.
Swear to God, podcast is on there, and I've been on like a few of them since being there's so much on there that's come true, and I keep it behind my closet door so that nobody else sees it when they come in, because that's private. That's my thing.
Fire.
I'm very protective of the shit that I want for myself.
Yeah.
And like before I go to sleep, I have to intentionally like step into my closet and close the door of my closet so that I can look at it.
So you can see it.
So it's just like my little safe space of just me looking at it, and I don't even know if I'm still manifesting. I'm just in awe of the fact that what's on that board, so much of it has come true.
Yeah.
There's still a lot that hasn't, but I'm still working on those things. Yeah. I already started most of those things, you know? Mm-hmm. So, my grandmother passes away in February, like 3 days before my birthday, very like tragically. She just had a fall. She had an aneurysm that caused her to have a fall, and she basically broke her skull, and she like was brain dead.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was. And it's just like things that you hear that happen to people, but you never think they're gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
And it was my mom's mom, and that like broke all of us, because that was my grandmother who raised us here in the States. My dad's mom is in Colombia. My grandfather passed away. My dad's grandfather passed away. My dad's father, passed away when I was 20. So it was different, because they would come here a lot, but they didn't live here.
Yeah.
So it was different. And then my mom's dad actually just got diagnosed with lung cancer. So my mom's like going through it a lot right now.
That's sad.
Yeah. But this was like our big loss for us. Mm-hmm. She was so cute. So her name is Floridalid, which is like a flower, but we all used to call her Florecita, which is my little flower. That was like our name for her.
Oh man. And
then I would always call her Abu. I would always mess with her. I loved her so much. She's a hoot, and she was
a hoot. That's the most American shit I ever heard you say. She's a hoot.
I love saying it now. I think it's so cute.
You probably just learned that.
I did.
That is hilarious.
Listen, I'm American now.
Yeah, I'm American.
So she passes away. It was really hard for all of us. It was like on my 29th birthday. I'm very big on birthdays. I love celebrating my birthday. I think it's amazing to get another year of life. Like, I don't get why people don't celebrate their birthdays. You're giving an opportunity that many people aren't giving daily. Don't start.
I don't celebrate my birthday. I know.
You're about to this week. Your birthday's next week, right?
I don't know when it is.
I already know. It's on my calendar.
Yeah. I don't know nothing about nothing.
So I wake up in the morning. I took it off from work. I was supposed to do my first solo trip. I wanted to go somewhere completely by myself. And then my grandmother passed away, and I didn't do it. We helped my mom pay for her funeral expenses. It's expensive to die.
Oh, it's very,
it's so fucking expensive to die. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So I ended up just waking up, going to my gym, working out by myself, and going straight to the beach to watch the sunrise and just be at the beach. Yeah. I changed in the parking lot of the car from like my workout clothes to my bathing suit, and just walked to the beach and sat on the floor and on the sand, and I just like bawled my eyes out as like the sun was coming out, because I was so emotional, because she had just died. I was starting a new year of my life. I'm gonna get emotional. I was starting a new year of my life, and it just felt like my 28th year of life was so hard.
Oh yeah.
How am I starting the 29th like this?
Yeah.
Like she's dead. Like she passed away.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know if I have it in me to put through another really, really hard year.
Another hard year like the one you had before. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It makes me want to hug you.
Yeah. And this was February of this year.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Of this year?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Her anniversary for her death will be in February coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, so my grandmother moved from Colombia to the U.S. in her 40s to leave my grandfather, who was an alcoholic. She came by herself. And I just started digging into like my grandmother's life, seeing photos, and I just got so inspired by her. I was like, oh my God, she was 40 and she moved to a country where she didn't speak the language, didn't have money to live here, like, and she hustled.
And she figured it out. Yeah.
My mom did that too.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that I want to do, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to do it so freaking damn well.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go wherever I need to go. So I get this urge to want to move. And then I go back to St. Louis. I'm listening to you guys on the podcast. You're talking about Omen again, so much. And I'm like, because I followed your process of building it, but right before you opened, you talked about it so much. Like the hype was so there.
I had to hype it.
It was so there. And I was like one of your like, whoa, hell yeah, I can't wait to see it open. Like I was a fan from Miami. Yeah. And I remember getting the urge to, I reached out to you. I think it was like mid-March. She passed away like the second to last week of, it was like, it's like a weird day because February is a short month.
Yeah.
But, I remember I just remember feeling overwhelmed and just praying like, God, please show me the way. Like I will do whatever you say. Like I will go where you want me to go. I know I have to move. I can't be here anymore. Mm-hmm. Who I'm trying to become doesn't exist here. She's not like, I need to go to the next level. I got to go somewhere new. And I prayed and prayed and prayed. And then I felt so much guilt because I had this feeling of moving away, but my grandmother had just died. My whole family's grieving. My mom is grieving. My mom and I are super close because we've worked on being really close in the last few years.
Yeah.
Like all the work I did to heal myself and my pain and my childhood traumas with my dad and my relationship with my dad. Like I have a great relationship with my dad now too. An amazing one, because I took the time to sit with him and understand why he did the things he did. And I don't feel anger towards him or my mom.
Yeah.
And I always tell people to do that. I'm like, if you have anger towards your parents, just sit and talk to them. Just talk to them, and they'll tell you like actually things that.
Yeah, talk to them like a grown up.
Yeah, and you'll start to see things in a different perspective. But I remember I walked into our kitchen. I was living with my mom at this point in time too, and I remember just feeling like so sad because I was so grateful that they had let me back into their home. When we broke up, I had my stuff like in my car for a while.
Yeah.
And then my stuff was just like in my mom's living room for a few months. And then it was awkward to have family like outings and have people come into our house and have friends and family come into the house and have everybody see my stuff because I didn't have a place to live because I had just gone through this breakup with someone that I thought I was going to marry. And it's an embarrassing thing. Like it's an embarrassing feeling too.
The whole thing had to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like hurting because I'm like, how am I gonna, how is this how I'm gonna repay her? Like I'm gonna leave her when she needs me most after like what she's just done for me for the last year. This is so fucked up. I can't do this.
Yeah.
But I was so sure about it. Like in my heart, I talked about messaging you to one of my friends at work, and she was the only one that knew.
Really?
My friend Andrea. She was the only one that knew. And she would tell me all the time, just do it. Just ask him if he's looking for somebody to work. He's like, Lau, you are such, because she worked with me. I can't
imagine this happening somewhere else in Miami.
She was like, you're the hardest worker. Like you bust your ass. Like you know what you want. She's like, not even just here. Like you bust your ass like in life. Like this is what he's looking for. Because I sent her your podcast.
And I was looking. You should have messaged me 3 months earlier. What the fuck? What were you waiting for?
And she just knew too. She just had a feeling too for me, like about that being short for me. But we, like she was sitting next to me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it right now. Help me write the message. And I remember writing to you, hey, I'm not sure if you're still hiring, but if you are, like, I want to talk to you about it. I don't live there now, but I would make the move if I'm a match.
Yeah.
And I remember like we had that conversation and it was crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. What's even crazier is I almost didn't, like, I don't know.
But hello, okay, he kind of like swerved me like 3 times. Like
I did. I did. I was like, no breach.
You're experience. Literally blocking your own blessings.
But it was, yeah, you're right. Heed the omens. I did eventually. I
Spoiler alert, I made it here.
Yeah, you made it. Exactly. I take the help I get, man. I really do. But yeah, I wasn't hopeful. I was not optimistic. And it wasn't even that you didn't have any experience or any. It wasn't any of that, actually. It was that I was a transplant in my former career. Like, I came to St. Louis just for my job. Mm-hmm. And eventually I was in a role where I was like entrusted with hiring people from all over the country to come and take a job here in St. Louis like I did. And I remember that being a thing where, like, I know multiple people who moved here, who quit their jobs, left their family, and they got here and hated it. And they ended up, and I just never wanted to do that to somebody else. And so that's really why initially I was like, nah.
I thought you were trying to scare me away.
No, playing hard to get. I play hard to get, yeah.
You did.
But
guys,
no, that wasn't it though. I just really wasn't sure with it. I had to sit and just really sit on it for a few days or maybe a few weeks, honestly.
Yes, a few weeks.
For a few weeks.
Yeah. I literally, I met with you. I say the word literally a lot.
Yeah. No, you don't.
I remember going through my messages about a week ago.
Yeah.
Because I was curious. And it was about a month after
that I got back
that
to
I
you.
initially messaged you that you said, okay, let's talk. And we were on the phone and we talked. It took a month.
Didn't I have you on the phone with Grace
So
first?
I met with Grace first, a week and a half after I wrote to you.
Yeah.
And then she kept telling me that you were
like,
going to reach out to me. But
I was like, yeah, if she makes it past Grace. Because Grace knows me. You know what I mean?
She warned me a lot, too. She was like, he's difficult to work for. He's very blunt. He's very direct.
But not in that sense. But she also knows me. Like, if it was no chance, I was in it at that time. So I couldn't waste time doing anything. So it's like, I'm not even going to get on the phone with you if it's not going to work. And Grace would know.
Yeah.
So the fact that she even told me yeah, you should get on the phone with this girl, I was like, oh, she must have really impressed. She must be silly, She must have got something wrong with her. So anyway, she did. And I don't know. How did that first call go?
So my conversation with Grace was awesome. I remember my mom I didn't really have a lot of privacy in my mom's house because I had my older sister's old room, which you could hear everything. And I just wanted quiet. So I parked the car and I got in on the FaceTime in my car in the front. Yeah, in the front of the house. And my mom came outside and she gets in the car with me. I'm like, shut the fuck up. She's like, gets in the car with me, mid conversation.
Don't you see I came out here on the phone?
Oh, but this is important because my mom ended up becoming only the second person to know that I was going to make this move. So the day that I told her in the kitchen, she just grabbed me and she said, you need to go.
Aww.
She's like, your grandmother did that and I did that. You need to do that.
Aww,
and it was just confirmation. And I was like, hell yes, I'm going. So every day I had terrible imposter syndrome. I'm like, maybe he'll see past me. I'm not who I say I am.
No.
I didn't believe that in me yet.
That you were the new person yet.
Yeah. I hadn't had that belief yet.
Such a beautiful process to see people commit on that.
It's so crazy. So
Grace went well. What about with me? What was
so
I don't remember that. I blacked out. I don't remember what I said.
No, you weren't even paying attention.
I wasn't?
Let me have your phone. He had his phone. So he's driving down Washington Avenue because now I can tell what's what.
Yeah, I was on
and he's driving and his phone, instead of being looking at me, he's like this. Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to work with me, you got to make eye contact. If you can't do that, I'll send you back home.
No. That's hilarious. I kind of believe you.
I swear to God, that's literally what you said. And then I remember telling you, I was just myself, and I was like, listen, I've worked, I know what you need. I can do this. Yeah. I'm the person for this. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
And then you're like, look, I moved out here for this job. You told me your whole story with, what you were doing before. And I said to you, Mark, this is a full circle moment then.
Yeah.
I'm about to do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
I am leaving a job that I took a pretty significant pay cut from to come work out here, blindly trusting you in a brand new city that I've never been in by myself.
Yeah. Well, you don't live by yourself. You live, I'm here too.
Yeah, but my initial move was that. Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to be friends. I didn't know if you were going to be cool. You were going to be that crazy guy who freaking FaceTime me and threatened me. So
I didn't threaten you. I just told you I will. That's what I told you. I was like, listen, I just need you to know if you move out here and you're not what I'm looking for,
I'll send you back home.
I still have to. I have to do what's best for the shop. Yeah.
I respected that. I was like, cool, I'm in.
And you're like, yeah, I'm Colombian and I'm from a culture where people are very direct. I remember that part of the conversation.
So I remember I was also in the car, but I was in my sister's car because we were in Tampa for a concert, and I ran that downstairs from the hotel room and into the car, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm about to change my life right now.
Yeah.
And I get off the phone. I have a picture on my phone of me in the elevator just smiling, and I'm like, I know I'm about to move to St. Louis.
Aww,
I just knew.
fire.
I'm a documenter. I take photos and I take videos.
Yeah, you do.
But it's such a beautiful thing because now I can look back at everything and feel those feelings again.
Yeah.
And I can tell a story with the things that I've, compiled of my
The
life.
moments you've captured,
It's a virtual. It's not a virtual. It's a visual diary.
Yeah.
And I love journaling so much. I feel like it's the way that I journal my life too.
Yeah. Then I told you. Did
So
we have
then-
a second call?
No. Well, so then you call me the next day.
Oh yeah, and that's when I told you what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, no, that's when you told me. No, you told me that the first day too. But then the second day, you texted me. You're like, "Hey, can I call you?" And I had off from work that day, but I lied. I was like, "Oh, I'm getting ready for work. Can you just call me?" Because I thought you were gonna FaceTime me, but I was like getting ready.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to work. I forgot what it was. We had that day off, and you called me, and this is how you offered me the job. You literally said, "Hey, so I've been thinking about it, and I'm not opposed to you coming out here."
I'm not opposed to you coming.
So I was like, "Okay, I think I got the job." I was like, "For real?"
I'm such a savage.
Well,
That's why you call me salvaje.
I literally call you salvaje.
Salvaje means
That's
savage.
my nickname for you.
So,
I said, "Yeah, hell yeah, brother."
hell yeah, brother. You did. And I was like, don't say that shit to me.
I was like, this guy has no clue he's about to meet the funniest, hardest working person he's ever met.
Yeah.
And I hang up the phone with him. I call my mom. I'm like, "Mom, I got it. He wants me there." And she's like, "What? Oh my God. Okay. Start looking for apartments, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "I'm moving fast, right?" And she's like, move fast.
Bro,
like, let's
the
go.
way that you moved was so impressive. I believe... Was it like the next day that you were like, "Oh, you got the loft where you're at now"?
So no, so my story is crazy. So you spoke to me. It was a Monday. That Tuesday, I went to work the next day, quit my job. I told my boss, "I'm not giving you 2 weeks. Like, you don't need me here for 2 weeks. It's gonna be useless.
Yeah.
I'm moving. I need to be out of Miami as soon as possible." But I was such a meticulous note taker that he felt okay with me like not having that much time.
Yeah.
And he was also very supportive of me leaving because he saw like a lot of like my growth too. So he was low-key in love with me too. Savage. Sorry, Brian. So, I all I did my last week was just like fine tune my notes, make sure that whoever got my accounts was going to be set up for success, and like leave them like little tips on like conversations that I've had with my customers of products they weren't like interested, but probably first like slated Q3 or Q4 next year.
Yeah.
So I would leave everything like set up, and then I just said bye to everybody. And I started to break the news to people, and I got so much negative feedback for saying that I was leaving to move to St. Louis.
Really? Why?
That's why I protected my bubble so much. When I thought of the process,
what were people saying to you when you're like,
"Are you stupid?
I'm going to
Are you
work
stupid?"
in a
That's literally what
coffee
they said
shop."
to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. "Are you stupid? Are you dumb? You're leaving your corporate job to work in a coffee shop in the middle of nowhere?"
Oof.
Yep. And I got that a lot.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
And then I
you still-
have friends now that have then since then reached out and told me, "I'm so sorry for the reaction I gave you. Like, that's where you're supposed to be."
It's so crazy that people are so...
Crazy.
It's like crabs in a bucket, you know? Like you...
That's when I first saw that analogy in my life.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I saw it present.
Oh, yeah. It really is. It's... Once you've tasted life... You know, in the seat where like you're just where the most important thing to you becomes like doing stuff that feels right, you know, or living in alignment with, you know, who you were created to be, or however you think about it.
Yeah.
But once you've tasted what life is like, you know, putting all the material things and all the silly things that society tells us should be important to us, and you just put yourself forward and you put your life and the opportunity you have to live forward, man, it's so damn sweet. And it's sad that people discourage people from even pursuing that. Like, it's so sad. Like, it just, to me now, being years into this, it's like I can't even understand how people live that way, and how they don't understand that like they could literally do anything, and the most important thing is to wake up and like look forward to the day. Like, it makes me so
sad, because if you're deterring someone from doing it, you're like an even step further away from being closer to doing it.
It really is.
And it's such a sad thing.
So everybody was negative.
Yeah.
But
that's why I protected my bubble. Like I wouldn't tell anybody. So I knew that the last week of me living there was going to be really emotional because of that reason.
Yeah.
So I remember crying at work, and one of my friends had that reaction. I cried a lot, actually, when a lot of my friends had that reaction. But I had my true, like real friends. Yeah. They had all told me.
They were like, it's cool.
No, they were literally like, we were waiting for this to happen.
Oh, that's awesome. Hell
they were
yeah.
like, you need to go do this. I
cool.
struggle with like when people give me compliments and stuff. I just get so weirded out. And they would always tell me, like, you're literally amazing. Like, you're an amazing person. Like, you need to go do these. Like, you need to live a bigger than life kind of life.
Yeah.
And I would always say, I know, I'm going to do it. I just don't know why I'm getting in my own way. And they helped me get out of my own way.
So you sent it.
So I said, we'll send.
Yeah.
And the next week, I ended up leaving that Friday. Spent the weekend with family. My priority was family, just soaking up as much time as I can.
That's what I was getting at. You left that Friday.
I left the Friday after.
Oh, okay.
I left, so I couldn't leave that Friday because
it just felt so fast.
It was fast. It was so fast. I was here a week, like literally a week after, like a week and a half after speaking to you.
Yeah.
A week and a half, yeah. So the day before I moved, I couldn't find an apartment at all.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So it was like you found an apartment on Thursday.
On Thursday.
Wait, I think I messaged you about it. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, there's a unit.
Yes.
And we put you down for it.
Shout out to Ayana, 'cause she helped me find that place. And
I know.
She told me when we closed, she goes, I'm in awe of you. You just had so much faith. Because the whole time I would call, hey, just checking, is your unit available? Not today. Okay, I'll call tomorrow. I called her all the time.
Oh, that's
I called her like almost every day for a week.
She's the best.
And then finally,
but you found it on Thursday.
I signed my lease 12 hours before getting in the car to drive over here.
That's
I didn't even
crazy.
get to do a walkthrough. I had no
crazy.
clue what my apartment looked like.
Yeah, but your apartment's fire.
My apartment's lit. It's nice. I love my apartment.
Hey, you know
it's
what?
my safe space.
I'd make a good realtor.
It's like my safe space. If you're ever in my apartment, it's like special because I take care of my space so much. Like I love my space. So
you come out.
So I come out here.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. My mom, so Hispanics, you don't do anything by yourself. Your family does everything with you.
But what about what we were doing here made you want to come here in the first place? Like, I know you mentioned,
you
started to say earlier, like.
No, it was literally you. You want to know why?
No.
I was looking for.
If it's me, no. Don't call me.
Well, it was you. It was what you were doing. Like
Yeah.
It was your energy around being so sure that this was your purpose.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Because I loved what Omen was gonna stand for. Like I love what your idea of it was. And I full heartedly do, and I support this. Like Omen is my life now.
Yeah.
But you were so sure about your purpose, and I literally said to myself, I don't know what my purpose is, but this guy seems really damn sure.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and help him with his. Maybe I'll find mine.
Yeah.
And I think I found my purpose out here.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So you've come out and like I was saying in the beginning, you're just a gem. So what's been like, I don't know, what's been the coolest part? Like, what's been the coolest part? Like, people love you, and I can tell. Like, I was thinking to myself earlier, and I even mentioned on this show, is like, you have mom energy, like, and I don't know if you've always been that way. We've heard that a few times in your life. You like keep people at a distance or you push them away, but you totally do the opposite now. Like, but yeah, what's been your favorite part? Like from the women's group? Yeah.
Literally, just the people are my favorite.
Damn.
And my whole entire experience. I said this last night on Instagram. I put a photo of a night out, and I put, this has been my favorite part of like my experience in St. Louis, and it's the people
Just
that I've
our
gotten to know.
people.
People are so fascinating, and getting to meet new people. But
we meet so many of them.
So many, and everybody has cool stories, but you only get to hear them if you ask. So
Yeah.
I moved out here, I ask everybody. I moved out here with the intention of building a life I absolutely love. Not freezing my ass off, and that's what I'm doing now.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. The people, because I realized I was sheltering myself from connection with people.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
I was so afraid of getting, like, truly so afraid of getting hurt. And I only have like my sisters are my best friends. So I didn't find a need to have a lot of friends. I've always had a lot of friends, but I've always had a lot of acquaintances, I feel.
Yeah.
Just not a lot of like close friends. We have a group of friends, but I never felt close to anyone in particular. I felt close to all of them.
Yeah. You know
So-
what? That's so crazy, though. I was just thinking about this, and it's actually like I try to really acknowledge and soak in when I have like original thoughts, like thoughts that I'm having for the first time. And or when I learn a new lesson that's like genuinely new to me. Well, what you just highlighted is one of the things that I just learned, that I just realized, which is like sometimes, so my brother and I recently stopped, we don't chat. We're not on good terms. Okay. And it's kind of unfortunate. And, for my entire life, like he's actually literally been the only constant for my entire life, because we grew up in foster homes and we've been in homeless shelters and we've, gone to and from our moms. We've been with grandparents. It's just the only thing that we've ever had is each other. And so I have a reputation for being like antisocial and for like not being friendly and outgoing, and I don't socialize much and all this stuff. And I had this reputation, but what I didn't realize until just recently, when my brother and I stopped, hanging out so much, like all of a sudden I have this amazing tree, that is now becoming this circle of guys that is just so beautiful and full of life and creativity and inspiration. And like these guys that I've been hanging out with, they're the best group of friends I've had. It's so crazy. I'm so excited about this.
I really love seeing that for you too.
But my point is, when I was like really close with my brother, that never happened. I realize that now, is that sometimes we got to create space, because we don't realize how much space in our life certain people are taking up. And like one person can, if they're effective, they can take up all the space in your life. And when you remove those people from your life, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, and some, for different reasons. But when that happens, there's a vacuum, and it creates more space for other people. And so it's really powerful to do that, because it sounds like what I just realized is something that you realized earlier than me. When you left, your sisters were taking up all the space. And now when you left, you have a vacuum, and you've allowed, because the girls that you've connected with and the women that you connect with, it's honestly so cool for me to see, because I don't know, like when I watch your Instagram stories, I'm always like, I don't know, I'm moved by it. And I know how close you are with your family. I've literally thought about that. Like when you were first here, like, man, I know it's going to be hard for you being away from your sisters and being away from your mom. Because I could just tell. Like, I could just tell that I didn't even know how close you were, but I could just tell. And for a little while, you didn't create friends like right away. Like, it was like a couple weeks before you did. But seeing the relationships you have now is super inspiring to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, you were saying that you got rid of your, when your sisters didn't.
Well, so I always say that to people too. I give that advice to everyone. Actually, I talked about that in the women's group once. I said, you need to make space for new things. Like that's one of my life mottos.
If the things you got now are amazing, then cool. But like, if not.
Even then, it doesn't mean, like, you could be making space in smaller ways.
Yeah.
Like maybe whether that's a behavior or something that you're doing, like stop doing something and let something else in. And are you gonna pass that?
Yeah. Gotcha.
I love getting high. But I'm not a productive high, so this is for sleep and recreational purposes only.
Okay. So.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna say something. I was intentional about my friendships because I didn't want to feel like the girl that didn't have like long-term friends anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to feel alone. I knew that I was going to be alone here by myself. I had been alone, like single, and I knew what that looked like, but I had my family around me. My safety net was taken off.
Yeah.
I was going like full in on something completely new by myself. I knew that I needed to make friends. Like I knew that it was something that I was going to help. It was going to enrich the process, basically. And I also told myself, if they like the new version of me, if they like this version of me, who is me raw, completely like real, then they're good people. Like it's good people, because I've had it happen when I was a child, where I would be myself And my friends would make fun of me for being too nice, or for being like a people pleaser or wanting to be nice to everybody.
Are so annoying.
Yeah, so I had this view of if I'm just myself, that I'm wrong. Like they won't like it.
Yeah.
At almost 30 years old, that shit sticks with you when you're a kid.
Yeah.
But I said, if they like me, then it is what it is. I was just myself. And I've met the coolest freaking people out here. I've met the coolest people.
Yeah, it's powerful. Well, I can tell you that, I mean, you've just been a blessing. I can't even say it enough. I'm so grateful that you're here. It's so crazy because, you know, I'm such a big believer. I'm not very religious, but I definitely have a strong relationship with what I call God. And, like you coming into my life and Omen's life, oh my gosh. Like sometimes I'll tell people when I have these conversations, because I talk about spirituality and religion with my friends often. Like it's just a conversation that I could talk about forever, because I have some friends that are like agnostic or atheist, and I love talking to them. But I told James, he's like an agnostic, but I told James, and he was like making an argument for atheism, which was mind blowing. I was very intrigued. No, I was very intrigued. I've never met anybody that just told me like I'm an atheist. Like I've never met anybody.
And can like
I've never met
why,
anybody. That's sure. Yeah. And he actually could explain why.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so James was giving me this argument, whatever. And my thing when I brought up was like, man, James, I can't explain it, but sometimes in life things just happen for me. Like they just happen. Like there's no explanation. There's nothing that I did to make it. Like it just happens for me when it needs to. And I could name a couple times, and I'm like Lau just happened. Like I even almost missed her because I blew her off in my DMs, but she just fell into my lap, and I have somebody that I couldn't create a more perfect person to do this with, right? But that was like what I brought. Like I can't thank anything but the universe for you. Yeah. But dude, I'm so grateful that you're here, and I think that people are really gonna love this episode, because you know they'll get to know you on a deeper level, and I mean that's what we're all about, is like building the community. And so biggest takeaway, like through any season of like major change in life, like you not only moving to Miami but then becoming single, and the last year has been rough for you. So, well, I guess might be longer now, but through every season of like major change, you know, there's like a lot of like really important life lessons, you know, that we pick up, and sometimes it's immediately, but sometimes it takes a while. Have you picked up any like major lessons through the transition from Miami to here? And you know, what's your biggest like takeaway, anything that you realized about yourself, about life, or about other people?
I read this last night in a book, and it actually stuck out to me. And it said, I can't remember what book it is, because I picked up 3 different books and read a chapter from each one, because I was just like, I was high.
Because normal people do that, yeah.
I never do that, but I was like,
That's
let me
funny.
see what this feels like. And there were 3 good things. 2 of them are from Brianna West. I don't really know how to pronounce her last name, but it basically said, true strength comes from being able to like lift up your roots and plant yourself somewhere facing the sun. And I was like, wow, I really liked it. Yeah. Because it's not like you're picking up and running away. No, you're looking for somewhere where like you're looking for that. For but like you're choosing to get up and go versus just staying in the same cycles and staying in the same place. And living a life that you're going to basically outgrow, but you won't make a move like on it.
Yeah, and you can't really flourish in that environment. Wow.
This past time I went home, looking back, like that is true for me, and that's probably my biggest takeaway. I love my family and my sisters, but I feel like the version of me that they've also come to see, I feel limited there. Yeah. It's kind of like who they're expecting to see of me.
They put a ceiling on your development.
So like when we're drinking, like my older sister, I love Kat. She's so cute, but she's my older sister, so she worries, don't drink too much, okay, Like, and I'm like, I'm just gonna have fun.
I know.
I'm just gonna have fun. I don't drink a lot, but when I do, it's like I have fun. I think I'm a pothead drunk. I'm not. I'm really wholesome.
You are really wholesome.
I'm really wholesome.
I'll vouch for you.
And yeah, I basically just like it confirmed to me that I needed to come over here to be this next version of me. And when they come here, they can see it. But I feel like when I go home, I've noticed it. I'm not the same. When I'm here, my mom and my stepdad have asked me to move back so many times.
Really?
So many times.
Even after they came and visit?
Do you know what MP told me today right before I got here?
No.
She's like, oh, I hate that your life is going so good there. I just wish that you would move back. And then she goes, Lau, you don't understand. You're like the glue of the family. Like when we hang out and you're not there, like it's obvious. We know like there's an energy missing. It's you.
Well, you guys can come up to Missouri.
She's like, I just wish you had shittier energy. Like,
come up to Missouri anytime.
So, yeah. She's like, I'm sorry. I don't want your life to go bad, but man.
Yeah, that's funny.
She's like, we wouldn't love you as much if you sucked. So that's her way of telling me I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
But
so they've asked you to come back a lot. But.
Yeah. So my parents this time, my mom, as she was leaving the women's group, she looked at me and she said, I'm not asking you to come home anymore.
Aww.
She's like, this is where you're supposed to be. I get it now.
That's amazing.
So I feel the
Paula.
most. My mom is a mom. I love her.
Thank you. I'm not giving her back.
Yeah, it's when I talk to her about like the future of Omen and everything that we plan to do, she's like, you have to do it. Like that's part of you. Just she's seen everything from the beginning to now, so she has a different lens that other people don't. She was one of the only people that knew my whole entire process.
Yeah.
So that's been my favorite. It's just been proving to myself. So I actually like love telling people, just make the move, whatever the move is.
Yeah, just
make the move.
Yeah.
And I think that's what
I did it. You did it. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, let's wrap it up on that. I appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
All right.